بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, this is your brother Isa. Today in this video I want to talk to you about why you should memorize the Qur'an. And I will not talk about the well-known aspects such as the barakah, the blessing of it, the rewards of it in the hereafter, or the high status of a hafidul Qur'an, which all of these are very important motivations, but I want to talk about the pragmatic and the functional aspects of the importance of memorizing the Quran, how it can enrich our spiritual life in this world, and how it can really help us in our da'wah activities and help us communicate our deen to non-Muslims, and also in the works of targhib and tarhib, motivating others to do more good work, and amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar, to command the good and forbid the evil. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حَدِيثًا. Who can be more truthful than Allah in terms of speech? He also said, وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ قِيلًا. A similar meaning, who can be more truthful than Allah in speech? I've had plenty of experience talking to other people about Islam, Muslims or non-Muslims, and it's quite common that people are not very impressed or convinced by my own words, right? My own constructions, my own expressions. But whenever I quote a verse, an ayah from the Quran, even if the Chinese translation or the English translation, you can see that the impact is immediately different. So this really gives me a very practical understanding of the ayah, وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حَدِيثًا. The word of Allah has that impact that no human word can compare to, right? Whatever topic, whatever idea you want to convey, you cannot say it better than how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already said it in His revelation. His words, His expressions are the most concise, the most precise, the most beautiful, the most powerful, the most impactful on many different levels, right? So if you memorize the Quran and then there is a topic or there is a theme you want to talk about, or there's an occasion where you want to communicate an idea, and you can quote a very relevant ayah from the Quran, then that saves a lot of effort, right? Sometimes one ayah is enough. You don't have to explain more. It's very clear. It's very convincing. Just quoting that one ayah, and the problem is solved. And we see a lot of scholars, especially the traditionally trained scholars, those that went through the robust preparation of scholarship and a long journey of seeking knowledge. So, for example, Sheikh Didu, who has become quite popular recently, you can see that whenever he's asked a question, it's very common for him to right away start with قال الله تعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and then quote several ayat in the Quran very relevant to this topic, and you feel like there's nothing else needed. He doesn't need to explain more. The ayat are very clear and sufficient. So that's one reason why you should memorize the Quran. If you have memorized the Quran will become a very powerful storage house of materials for you to communicate and convey the messages and the ideas of Islam to Muslims or non-Muslims. Another reason why you should memorize the Quran is that if you have the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your mind and in your heart, whatever you see in your life, whatever you experience, whatever you witness, can become signs that remind you to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to understand the deen better. For example, I remember once I was in Egypt and I asked an Egyptian friend, Dr. Muhammad, is there any masjid that has beautiful recitation? The Taraweeh is enjoyable. I asked him to give me some recommendations so that I will go there to pray Taraweeh. So he did recommend one masjid, and I told him, inshallah, I will go there right now. I'm going there right now. I'm on my way. So he said, subhanallah, you reminded me of the ayah in Surah Al-Mu'mineen, أولئك يسارعون في الخيرات وهم لها سابقون. You know, those, the believers, are those that rush towards goodness, and they're competing in that field. So, you know, an experience in his life immediately reminded him of an ayah in the Qur'an, which, you know, strengthens his connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the words of Allah Azza wa Jal, and with his understanding of the deen in general. So at that time, I didn't memorize much Qur'an. I still haven't memorized much. I haven't fully memorized the Qur'an yet. But I was very jealous of him, right, in a positive way. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I wish I can have this immediate connection in my life too. And another example could be when the Queen of England passed away. I remember Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad gave a khutbah, and he began his khutbah by reciting the ayah in Surah An-Nisa where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أينما تكونوا يدرككم الموت ولو كنتم في بروج مشيدة. Wherever you are, death will catch you, death will eventually meet you, even if you are in protected, safe castles, right? And this ayah was so appropriate for this occasion that you feel like khalas, the khutbah is complete, the message is conveyed, is enough. So an event that happened in our life, you know, a global breaking news, for someone who has memorized the Qur'an, is nothing surprising actually. It's nothing breaking, because whatever happens in the world has already been very well summarized and explained in the Qur'an. So he remembered this ayah, and this ayah became a very powerful and relevant explanation for that event, which served the spiritual growth and renewal of the Muslims. So these are just some examples, and there are more. I'm sure you also know people who have memorized the Qur'an, and they can always, you know, think of ayats just like that whenever they see something or experience something. So I mentioned two reasons. One is that it's the best material to use for any kind of da'wah, any kind of targhib, any kind of amr bil ma'ruf, nahi anil munkar, any kind of communication regarding Islam, because وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حَدِيثًا. Who can be more truthful than Allah in speech? Allah's speech is the most beautiful and the most powerful one. And then the second reason I mentioned is that it reminds you, the events that you experience in your life will remind you of the ayat in the Qur'an if you have memorized them, so that you can have this constant connection with the revelation, and you can have this constant growth and opportunity for self-improvement. I think those two reasons should be more than enough for someone to aspire to memorize the Qur'an. But then, of course, there's more. There's the enjoyment of prayer, right? If you memorize more Qur'an, you will enjoy your prayer more. We hear about long night prayers of the Salaf Salih, of the righteous early generations. But in order to pray long prayers, you need to know long passages of the Qur'an, right? And in order to have that emotional outburst, sometimes you need to have accumulation first. Right? Emotion perhaps doesn't come in the third or the fourth ayah, but it might come at the 30th or 40th or 100th ayah. So you need some time to get into the zone, and in order to have that time, you need to memorize more Qur'an. So enjoyment in prayer is another very important reason why we should memorize the Qur'an. So those are the 3 points that I can think of right now. I'm still in my journey of memorizing the Qur'an. Please remember me in your dua. And I will also pray for all of my viewers who watch this video to embark on a journey of memorizing the Qur'an. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. In fact, He has already promised that He has already made it easy for whoever wants to memorize it. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. Right? We have indeed already made the Qur'an easy for remembering. Are there any who wish to remember? So let's embark on this journey together, inshallah. Let's make dua for each other. Let's be persistent. Let's keep trying. Let's put in a lot of effort, because the Qur'an deserves this much effort. The word of Allah deserves this much love. And I hope that we can all become hufaz of the Qur'an soon. Because when someone memorizes the Qur'an, the word hafiz literally means someone who guards and preserves. But when someone told Imam al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah, fulan, someone hafiz al-Qur'an, he memorized the Qur'an, he's guarding the Qur'an now. Imam al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah said, بَلِ الْقُرْآنُ يَحْفَظُهُ. No, rather the Qur'an is guarding him now. The Qur'an is preserving him now. So by being a hafiz of the Qur'an, you're actually being the mahfuz. You're being protected by the Qur'an. So may Allah make it easy for us. May Allah guide us. May Allah help us. May Allah assist us and support us. May Allah make us ashabul Qur'an. Allahumma ja'alna min ashabil Qur'an. Allahumma ameen. Thank you for watching this video. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.